Hi, well this is model shipbuilder Steve Priske. Say look, I've got another ship model to build. This one is a clipper ship Flying Cloud. It's going to be another 36 or so inch long ship model. But before I describe how I'm going to build the model ship, I thought maybe you'd like to take a look around my model shop before of course it gets all strewn and hard to describe to folks. This is sort of the fun part about doing a new project, is I get to reset my model table. So let me take you on a tour around my model table on how I build tall ship models. First, let me take the current project out of the way so you can see the full model table a little better. And I've got most of my tools laid out on the left-hand side of my table because I'm left-handed. I'll describe that in a second. And up against the wall, I always post the full-size plans of whatever it is that I'm building so that I can look up from my work table and easily see references to whatever it is that I'm working on at the time. Now here's the full-size plans for this current project, which is the clipper ship Flying Cloud, and full-size plans are the actual size that the model will be when it's completed. So in this case we can see that this one here is going to measure just around 36 inches from the tip of the bowsprit to the tip of the spanker boom. So that's what I post up on the wall. Now on the remainder of my model table, let me describe what I've got laid out here. My tool section over here, start off with, I always have a whole bunch of pencils. Make sure you have a lot of pencils sharpened and ready to go because you're going to want to make note markings on the wood pieces and on the plans and so on. So I've got a pencil sharpener handy right there. Next are my Rasp files. I keep about 24 different shape of Rasp files, usually metal ones. Some of these are flat and some of them are round. Metal files I find are a lot better than some of the wooden ones, and there's some of these diamond shaped or diamond tipped ones. They're useful when you're working with metal parts. Next I've got a bunch of wire brushes which are used for deflashing, taking off a lot of the excess flash on parts. Here are a couple of my handheld drills. I like to use these Black & Decker drills that have the replaceable battery packs, and one of the reasons I like these is because they actually are sort of slow. They don't run at very high speeds, which is really handy when you're working on little small parts. You don't want them to crack and so on. So I keep a couple of these, and then I have 2 or 3 of the battery packs that I've always got charging up here in the ready to go, and then down here in the charging stand, one of these little battery rechargers. So that keeps it going. And then I've also got another little small Dremel drill that is really slow, and that's especially handy. And then I've my favorite one is this. It sort of looks like I guess like a dentist's office. Hanging from the ceiling, I've got one of these flex cable drill bits, and sort of cool, I found a sewing machine foot rheostat so that I can regulate the speed of this drill bit to really slow and really fast, just like in a dentist's office in a way. Anyway, that hangs from the ceiling so that I can draw this out over anywhere on the workspace. I guess I shouldn't be tilting this camera, huh? Don't know much about using these fancy movie cameras. Anyway, next I've got 2 or 3 Lazy Susans that I keep a lot of my parts in. So over here in this one, I've got a bunch of my chisels, various different wooden chisels and spatulas, woodworking tools. And then over on the next one, I've got all brushes. One of the things that I found is really nice for working with ship models are ladies' blush brushes. So these real sort of fat, soft brushes are especially handy for working with ship models, and especially if you're dusting off the rigging and so on. A 3 of those will last you a lifetime. So that's what I've got there. A couple of magnifying glasses are always really handy. Now I know you're going to laugh, you're going to find this funny, but one of my very, very favorite tools, my handiest tools for building ship models, especially when you're working with the rigging, are clippers, fingernail and toenail clippers. The big toenail ones are my favorite. They're really, really easy to clip rigging line with. So I've got 4 or 5 of those ready to go at all times. And then back here along the back wall, I've got special rigging tools. You only have to make this investment once in your life, but it sure is worth it. These are little loop kind of tools that you use to loop around rigging line and pulling on them. I found most of these from model parts companies like Model Expo and Blue Jacket. And then some of these forceps that are the kind of self-close. Those are especially handy when you're hanging rigging line from the shrouds and from the yard arms and so on. So again, I'll be describing the use of those much more in detail when I get around to the rigging of the ship model. Next, over on my model table are a bunch of different drill bits and sanding discs. Keep those handy so that you can grab them at any time, and especially handy if you can find a couple, 3 of these drill bits that are on a wooden handle. That way you can actually use them with just by turning them by hand, so that you don't turn them too fast. Same thing goes with these heavy-duty little metal ones. Some of them have a thick shaft that you can utilize, like this one here, and then turn them by hand rather than putting them in an electric drill. It's a much smarter move so that you don't crack parts. Next over is paint brushes for painting, and again some more chisels. And then in my parts bin, this is especially important, and of course you'll accumulate parts for model shipbuilding over the years. One of the smart things to do is to find old ship model kits and bash them. It's called kit bashing, and I've kept several ship model kits for years because of the small little parts in them that weren't used by other builders or I didn't need to use. Here are tiny small nails and literally hundreds and hundreds of pulleys, little small pulleys for, let's see if I can get that focused. There we go, rigging lines. Anyway, here's my parts bins. Same thing. I keep copper wire and different kinds of brass wiring, mast hoops for building around masts, different laser cut wooden parts, a bunch of cast metal figures in case I get commissioned to build a model that's going to have figures on it. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of different parts, and then over here I keep other kinds of parts such as cordage and excess brass pieces. I also have a whole layout of just different kinds of rope and cordage and string ready to go for rigging. Again, you make this investment once or twice in a lifetime in large quantities of heavy cordage in all different thicknesses and sizes. And that way you don't have to rely on what you might find in a kit or what's available at the last minute. Alright, and over here on the far right hand side I've got Lazy Susan with heavy tools in it. Now here's one of the precautionary notes that I'll point out, and that is don't have any heavy tools like hammers and big heavy pliers anywhere near your model table, because they'll just cause damage. Sooner or later, having tools like this anywhere around, you're going to grab one and it's going to cause a problem. So one of the things I try not to have in my model shop are heavy industrial sized tools. Everything should be miniaturized. Next over, I've got, as I said, miniaturized. Here's a little miniature anvil and a little miniature deal I can hit and bang on. It's rubber coated. And there next is my Mighty Mite, little table saw, and this is always ready to go to perfectly chop off pieces of wood in the right way. But next to the Mighty Mite is my very favorite tool for cutting wood, and that's called the chopper. And this has been around for about 10 or 15 years. You use just regular razor blades in it, and with the smallest pieces of wood you can measure them up, put them under the chopper, and bango, you got your piece of wood ready to go. I see that I'm about to run into the 10-minute maximum time limit for these videos on YouTube, so let me pause here and pick up with part 2 on how to build your model shop.